Just have to do a little bit of business just for a second. At this point in the evening, the projected winner of the Iowa caucuses has just started giving his victory speech. We will keep an eye on that as it happens. We will let you know if there's any news made in that speech, if there's anything noteworthy, something substantive and important. The reason I'm saying this is, of course, there is a reason that we and other news organizations have generally stopped giving an unfiltered live platform to remarks by former President Trump. It is not out of spite. It is not a decision that we relish. It is a decision that we regularly revisit. And honestly, earnestly, it is not an easy decision, but there is a cost to us as a news organization of knowingly broadcasting untrue things. And that is a fundamental truth of our business and who we are. Now we know that the vaccines work well enough that the virus stops with every vaccinated person. A vaccinated person gets exposed to the virus does not infect them. The virus cannot then use that person to go anywhere else. It cannot use a vaccinated person as a host to go get more people. That means the vaccines will get us to the end of this.
This is economic terrorism, literally terrorism.
It is not generally speaking unruly.
You know what? I mean, Tucker Carlson's numbers haven't been that great since he left Fox News.
What does it say about our society that for one of our two major political parties, the salient issue for them is stopping students from learning Black history and from even discussing the existence of gay people?
Somebody tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I've got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population, 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It does suggest, what we're talking about here, which is there's too much money in politics.
Nikki Haley instead is the Dinesh D'Souza of Candace Owens. She's the alpha Karen with brown skin. And for white supremacists and racists, she's the perfect Manchurian candidate.
I have to say, I did not go out on July 4th and would not. The idea of going to a mass gathering, a parade, or a big fireworks thing outside seems insane to me, to be blunt, in America, because America is awash with guns.
If you want to be fair, then you will frame this as Joe Biden being the candidate that supports American democracy and Donald Trump, a candidate who supports a new form of government here that's authoritarian. It's really that simple.
It is a misconception that all white nationalists have to be white. But let's look at Hispanic white nationalists.
One day, our children's children will read American history. And can you imagine our reading that James Madison or Thomas Jefferson tried to overthrow the government so they can stay in power? That's what we're looking at. We're looking at American history.
You own all of Twitter or Facebook or what have you. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't even have to be transparent. You could secretly ban one party's candidate.
Tonight, a deafening silence from the president's Twitter account in his waning days as commander-in-chief. Twitter, run by CEO Jack Dorsey, saying after close review of the president's recent tweets, it banned him.
Or all of its candidates, all of its nominees.
Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was permanently banned from Twitter.
Hoosier Congressman Jim Banks is suspended from his professional Twitter account. The senator's account was suspended and his profile picture blacked out.
Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson has been suspended from YouTube.
Twitter briefly suspending the accounts of the Trump campaign and White House press secretary.
Or you could just secretly turn down the reach of their stuff.
Social media outlets were quick to limit the spread of the story.
So when you say the distribution is decreased,
it got shared.
How does that work?
It basically, the ranking in newsfeed was a little bit less. So fewer people saw it than would have otherwise. So it definitely...
By what percentage?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's meaningful.
One strategy is to shadow ban so that you have ultimate control. The idea of a shadow ban is that you ban someone, but they don't know they've been banned because they keep posting, but no one sees their content.
Turn up the reach of something else, and the rest of us might not even find out about it till after the election.
We saw the first hints in communications between Twitter executives before the 2020 election, when we read things like flagged by DHS or please see attached report from FBI for potential misinformation.
Now you have companies that are actually not journalistic organizations that are disseminating information, some of it factual, some of it dangerous, some of it hate speech, and they essentially have no responsibility for the consequences of that. So we have this central tension.
Our commitment to one person, one vote, our commitment to carrying on elections so that people would be enabled to vote, not obstructed from voting. Everything that we have worked on to try to make this a more perfect union has been in the target of the anti-democratic forces, unfortunately led by a demagogue for 4 years in the White House.
What about this?
I think it's also critical to understand that, as I've been telling candidates who have come to see me, you can run the best campaign, you can even become the nominee, and you can have the election stolen from you.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president. He knows that there were a bunch of different reasons why the election turned out the way it did.
We are still every day dealing with this question of whether or not our president was chosen, not just because of a foreign intelligence operation. We're grappling with this existential question as to whether his campaign was part of that foreign intelligence operation.
I don't think we can allow it to go on as it has, where there's no consequences and people can make money, in fact, to your point. While disseminating this information that is tearing the country apart, and by the way, providing disinformation, and in some cases has made us very endangered, like with January 6th.
And the big picture takeaway from that, and I don't mean to be, again, too dark, as you said, on this, but it is not. If we are worried about the rise of authoritarianism in this country, we are worried about potential rise of fascism in this country, if we're worried about our democracy falling to an authoritarian and potentially fascist form of government, the leader who is trying to do that is part of that equation. But people wanting that is a much bigger part of that equation.
In a lab in Wuhan, China. And yet this week, Donald Trump is still pushing the debunked bunkum, despite his own intelligence community's findings that is simply not true. On Thursday, the intelligence community released a rare statement saying they agree with the scientific consensus that the virus was not man-made.
Your decision about your vaccine may feel personal to you. I get it. But you live in a society. You live in a country.